Now, this morning, Harvey Weinstein surrendered himself to police in New York on charges of both rape and sexual abuse. Now, according to the Associated Press, the case will apparently include allegations by Lucia Evans. Now, Lucia Evans is an aspiring actress who has said that the Hollywood mogul had forced her to perform oral sex on him in his office. Now, this is not the only story of something similar like this happening with Harvey Weinstein, but this is one of the most public stories. In fact, she was actually one of the first people to speak out against Harvey Weinstein, which took a lot of guts, took a lot of courage, and that is something that is really, really important because this really helped to kick off the Me Too movement. Now, the case, according to the Associated Press, will also likely include one other victim who was yet to come forward publicly about what this is going on, about what had happened. All right. Now, bad news on this, right? Already, yes, he was arrested. Yes, he did the perp walk. However, Harvey Weinstein is already back out. He has posted a $1 million cash bond and will agree to wear a monitoring device. So, yes, he got arrested, and it was kind of awesome to see him get arrested. However, he is still back out, and he is comfortable at home. Wow. Okay. Anyway, now, look, nonetheless, it's actually a pretty big deal, right? I mean, look, you have these allegations that have followed Weinstein around for years, and they were pretty well known, and yet nobody dared to say anything. Why? Because he had so much power. So this is the power dynamic that we see play out time and time and time again. We had it with, of course, Bill Cosby. We had it with, Kevin Spacey. And now we have it with Harvey Weinstein. And actually, we've had this discussion started with the allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Now, this seems to be a pattern with men that happen to be in power. They're thinking that they have ownership of everything, including women's bodies. I mean, look, the latest target of the Me Too movement is, unfortunately, Morgan Freeman. Ooh, that one hurts. Because, look, I like Morgan Freeman. So, that sucks. Hey, man, if this is true, if he did those things, and they should be investigated, then there has to be justice in all these cases. You know, despite the fact that you might like someone or like who they appear to be on screen, it doesn't make them immune from justice. However, also, in all these cases, we need to respect due process and to make sure that everything is investigated. In fact, earlier today, it turns out that there were allegations against George Takei. Those were false. So, in fact, the person who made those allegations actually backtracked and said, actually, no, that didn't happen. So, of course, we need to do due process and everything. Nonetheless, this is something that is really, this movement is something that's really, really important, and it's actually really good for the country, because those who have actually done these crimes, well, now they're getting called out. And now the women who did face this are starting to get some justice. Now, speaking of justice, right? According to the New York Times, prosecutors in the office of the Manhattan District Attorney, Cyrus Vance, conducted dozens of interviews in New York and elsewhere and issued hundreds of subpoenas. Now, this is after recent news that came out where originally the DA hired investigators. That same DA, Cyrus Vance, they hired people to go look into the first accuser of Harvey Weinstein. So this is a complete reversal of that. Now, an investigative grand jury will also look into other sexual assault allegations against Mr. Weinstein, as well as possible financial crimes relating to how he paid women to stay silent. People familiar with the proceedings actually said. Now, Among other things, the grand jury is also delving into whether Mr. Weinstein used employees at his former production company to identify women for him to assault, to set up meetings with the women, or try to discredit them if they had complained. So that is, look, all that stuff means that Harvey Weinstein could be in a great deal of trouble. And now, in addition to the New York charges, Weinstein is also facing an LAPD investigation with 3 accusations against the producer currently in the hands of prosecutors, as well as a lawsuit filed by Ashley Judd. So, as I said before, Weinstein is in a world of hurt, and these women might actually be able to receive some justice. And that's what it's all about, really. Now, Rose McGowan said in a statement earlier today, 20 years ago, I swore that I would right this wrong. Today, we are one step closer to justice. May this give hope to old victims and survivors everywhere that are telling their truths. Asia Argento tweeted out earlier this morning, today, Harvey Weinstein will take his first step on his inevitable descent to hell. That is a very strong statement. She ended it by saying, we the women finally have real hope for justice. And I hope that she is right. I don't want to see somebody who is found guilty of these crimes. And again, that's what the investigations are for. If he is found guilty of these crimes, that he doesn't just walk away with a financial penalty, but actually sees real jail time for these real crimes that have had a huge, huge impact on so many women. So, look, you ask me, people like Weinstein are monsters. That's the truth of it. And look, sometimes there are people that get into these positions of power that do so in order to do things like this, in order to prey upon other people. And again, those are monsters. And you wouldn't think that someone who's allegedly done so many horrendous things would have gotten away with it for so long. But again, it's about the power. There is an unequal distribution of power. There's the money, and then there is, of course, the retribution. And look, Weinstein, he's had a reputation, right? However, it's the power dynamic that prevented things from happening until women started to speak up. It kind of makes you really distrust the power structures even more. And it, of course, makes you wary. I've already been very wary of people in power because, again, this can easily happen when someone has a position of power. Now, there are people that like to ascribe a bit of a benevolence to people who are wealthy and famous, right? But it turns out that they're not. They're human beings, and in some situations, they're monstrous human beings capable of abusing that power. And I think it happens more often than not. And that's why, of course, Me Too is so important. It's actually giving people the courage to fight back. And not just women, of course, who make up the majority, but there's also men that have been victimized as well. I talked about Terry Crews, which you wouldn't think somebody like that would be victimized, but it happens. Again, it is that power dynamic that makes people feel as if they're untouchable and they can do whatever. So, look, I think this is good. I think this is a good first step in getting justice, and I couldn't be more happy to see him do the walk of shame. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the courts can rectify the wrong that this man has perpetrated upon so many others. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.